Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 107 of the Toonami Escape podcast. I'm Greg Zeno. Tonight we have B-Dubs,
Hello.
C-Kohler,
Hey guys.
and Crocodile.
Good evening.
And tonight we're going to talk about E3 because now everyone repeat everything we just said before we started.
No.
No, I mean, like, I don't think anybody had like an A-plus conference, but I mean, everybody showed some cool stuff that I'd be willing to give a try.
Here are two takeaways from this E3. One, not everyone's fiscal year is going to survive next year.
No.
A bunch of those games are getting delayed out of February 22nd.
Yeah.
It's hilarious how they all just February 22nd,
Yeah,
Crackdown 3, all these up.
Yeah, it was, and all of those two are we were saying, my friend and I were saying, it's like those are their announced dates. I mean, how many of those are going to get delayed anyway?
This is we really hope this can get into this fiscal year, but
Wait, wasn't there a
So which games are coming out at the end of February?
Oh man, too many to name, dude. There were
sure.
at least five.
I'm going to look this up really quick.
I remember there was a game coming out the week before Kingdom Hearts, and I just remember thinking, oh, that's just going to get railroaded.
Anthem's on February 29th. Crackdown 3 is on February 29th.
Wait, is next year a leap year?
Next year...
No, next year. The next.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I meant 22nd. Anyway, Anthem, Crackdown 3, Days Gone, and Metro Exodus are all currently scheduled for February 22nd, 2019.
I'll believe it when I see it.
So at least two of those games are not coming out on that date, and I bet it's going to be Crackdown 3 and Anthem.
Yeah. What about around the Kingdom Hearts release date? Because I remember there was one more game there.
All I see confirmed here is Resident Evil 2 on the 25th and Kingdom Hearts 3 on the 29th.
That is just
also
painful.
Don't know that Resident Evil 2 makes that date.
And there's also
I've
a couple of games that come out in January as well.
No.
Resident Evil 2 is pretty sturdy and robust enough to stand the result of Kingdom Hearts, so I'm not really too worried about that game.
No,
I just
mean,
don't
Resident
think
Evil
it'll be
2 is
ready.
done. No, it's done at this point. I have.
It's done?
I mean, it's mostly done. It's in a playable state, from what I've heard.
Okay.
I have one of the mods knows a guy who has gotten to play large portions of it already. It's just in the finishing touches stage. He had originally heard, this year, but I guess it got pushed to fiscal year. So.
Division 2 is in March, and then also Fire Emblem's in spring, so fuck. That
Fire Emblem's Fire Emblem's going to be April, I bet.
You mean just in time to be after the March Direct?
Yeah, probably. Because I think they're going to want to show it off one more time. So either they're going to have it in March, early March, so they can show it off the January Direct, or give it the March Direct all to itself and then be like, oh, here's some other stuff between now and E3.
My second big takeaway is, hey, get ready for new consoles in 2020.
Yeah, I agree.
Microsoft shopping spree and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It looks like they're trying to beef up so they have actual single-party games next year.
And with Bethesda literally coming out and saying, check this Starfield game out. Look for it on literally the next consoles.
Microsoft even teased their next console.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take that as we're still doing the phone thing. But
They started
know.
He
said we're working on another console, and then on the screen there was a shadow of a giant console.
I know, but you could take that as it's like another X. It's
yeah, but I'm just saying that
incremental update.
There's another television console coming from them, and
yeah.
I mean,
that thing may still play like I don't know, because if the Xbox One consoles can't play things that come out on that, then it's a new console.
No. It's look. Maybe you didn't read the threads, but there were interviews with what's his face,
Phil Spencer,
and he
Microsoft
was doubling down on game consoles and doubling down on the Xbox's legacy support.
Yeah, I think Xbox, the next cycle, like if it is a new console coming, it's going to have backwards compatibility with the one.
I know,
if
but
only to give it that, sort of launch day. Hey, look at all this stuff you can play on day one.
I absolutely think they're going to have backwards compatibility with that. I'm saying forwards compatibility is the thing. Like the base Xbox One will not be able to play games that come out for that thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there will be games I believe for the Xbox Next or whatever that you would need a Next for. Yeah. And I think I think even more so for Sony's PS5. I think that there will be games. The PlayStation in particular isn't that interested in backwards compatibility.
No, they don't. Give
so
a shit.
they'll just have a new generation completely.
Until in 3 years when they're behind the next box and it's like, hey, backwards compatibility is cool now.
But
also, crossplay is cool now.
I totally feel like, because we felt this before in this current generation, like this is starting to feel like this year and the next year especially feel like a bridge year for the lead up to a next generation. So yeah.
Honestly, I can kind of maybe see like a Switch Pro hitting about that same time, like maybe a year later.
Yeah, I could too.
Because I mean, by that,
like, hey, this is definitely a current gen console. Please bring your games hit. Oh,
well, I mean, I could see like, I think it's going to depend entirely on how small the chips get. Because like if they get small enough that they can be like, docked 4K, that would be fucking nuts.
That's not gonna happen.
No.
The Digital Foundry's speculation video about
No.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's really good. I mean, they go into great detail about how it's possible there could be an upgraded Switch.
I mean, I don't expect it for like a few years now.
That's basically what they said.
Yeah, because I mean,
I think you'll find that a lot of what you're saying
agree with most of it
is actually there's reason to believe it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like the one thing kind of holding the Switch back at this point is battery tech, I think, because
I mean, you're
literally half of
everything that's in that video right now. I'm telling you.
Yeah, like half of what's in that little thing is battery. Like if they could shrink that down, they could get so much more power out of that. But it's just battery is holding the whole damn thing back.
Would they consider the more powerful console docked, like not a handheld at all?
Well, I mean, battery technology is not really up to Nintendo, right? It's just like a limitation that pretty much all electronics have in some degree.
Yeah, like all our phones have that problem. Like whoever figures out how to get more charge out of a smaller battery is going to be like a billionaire. And I mean, there are some.
Heat is another issue too, which kind of plays that. So, I mean, these chips can only get so hot before they become a problem.
It's like, oops, I touched the back of my Switch with my finger, and now I have third-degree burns.
It's not that bad.
He's exaggerating, but
I know.
He's saying
it can get hot. Yeah.
Anyway, I think 2020 it's going to be, check this out. These new consoles do 4K only. Seriously, only.
I don't know about that, but I will say that, like,
I mean, I think they will naturally output at 4K. Period. Like,
because
you can just put them into a 1080p, just a regular HD TV, but it's going to be a 4K signal. Period.
What's 4K adaptation looking like for TVs nowadays? I haven't really been paying attention.
They're pretty cheap now. They're getting cheap. Yeah.
The reason I think they're going to have new consoles basically is it's kind of 4K TVs are kind of at the point now where HD TVs were when like the 360 PS3 gen was coming along. Like not everybody has them, but enough people have them that just give them a push and it'll suddenly just rise up.
I think the problem with that is that there's no like 4K like DVDs or anything like that, because in sort of like the jump from HD to like, whatever.
Blu-rays. That's the thing.
Well, I mean, it's like The Hobbit, and that's about it.
There's a whole section at Best Buy. They're just.
I mean, not a whole lot is just filmed in 4K. It's like up-resed.
I think the main thing with that is just people aren't buying.
You don't know what you're talking about, man. There's a ton of stuff out there. Yeah, absolutely.
It's Ultra HD.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what that shit is. I was wondering what the hell.
UHD is 4K Blu-ray, and yes, there is some stuff. There is some stuff that isn't transferred well to 4K, but there's a lot of stuff that is. Yeah. But I do believe that, unfortunately, the whole 4K Blu-ray thing is like for video files. Most people just stream video anyway, so that doesn't really matter.
Most people are complete rubes, and they're good enough with, look, it's on my phone.
Yeah, well, YouTube is like a primary viewing method for a lot of people, and that's really bad quality. So 4K isn't like a make or break when it comes to movies.
It's kind of also
forever that people haven't been super picky about quality, like the average consumer. I mean, it's not a new trend.
Oh, absolutely not. People dump quality for convenience instantly.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think it's not as big a jump from like 1080 to 4K for most people.
No, HDR is actually more important.
Yeah. They're also going to do HDR.
They will, of course. I mean, they've been doing it already.
And Nintendo will be like 2 generations behind on that. Like Nintendo 2030. Look, our console does HDR now.
I don't know about that, but
just I'm going to say that, like, new console speculation aside, I think that this E3 was really pretty good, and that, I mean, I feel like some of the best games are coming out now, and
in the next year,
in the next couple years, these games are I've been in gaming for a long time, and I just think this is an amazing time.
It's the end of generation. Everyone's got it. Everyone's running on all cylinders. Stuff's great, and then we're gonna do new consoles, and everything's gonna be kind of wacky for a while again.
Yeah. But you're right. Developers have figured out how to make these current gen consoles just sing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When did the PS4 and Xbone come out? I don't remember exactly. When was that?
2012.
Oh, it's been seriously. It's been that. Wow, that's a whole 10 years.
I mean, that's another reason you think, man. You think back to the last generation. You think, man, it went on from like 2006 to 2006 years. That's a long time. It's been 6 years.
Honestly, that's if it's a 10-year generation, that's pretty good value for money.
Yep, and I think at the time people were kind of scoffing at Sony's like 10-year plan, but it looks like it's almost happened.
Like you thought last generation was slow, probably because you were in like different types of school, and life did not go fast. But now you got a job, and every day's the same, and it's like, man, a whole year just flew by like nothing. And so did this generation. Oh God, we're all gonna die anyway. Toonami. Yeah.
It's a good grand old time. How about the Dragon Ball Super, huh? Super episode.
Let's talk about Super. Dragon Ball Super episode 66, Showdown, the miraculous power of unyielding warriors. More like, oh God, Zamasu fucked up, of course.
The JRPG fight, what do you want?
Well, I'll be honest, the Vegito versus Zamasu fight was kind of short to the point. And I actually kind of appreciate, even though it ended in a somewhat bullshitty manner, I actually appreciate that the win, quote unquote, big air quotes here, the win actually goes to Trunks, who's like supposed to be the actual main character arc. Like the story is supposed to revolve around him. It's his timeline, his future, his technical battle. So it's like obviously Goku and Vegeta 2 are kind of, it's still, they're shown a sense. They're like, the fact they're not putting the finishing touch, so to speak, I think is a nice torch pass you don't see in a lot of Dragon Ball arcs. I mean, we were just watching the Boo arc right now on Kai, so we can kind of remember how torch passing tends to go in Dragon Ball.
Not well.
And now here's the next episode preview where Zamasu is not dead.
Hence air quotes. But who here hasn't seen the? I'm trying to remember who. Like everyone seen Super in sub or
nope.
Okay. All right, so we'll find out how things end for realsies next week. But it's air quotes interesting.
Like it looks like Zamasu just turns into Gygus.
Yeah, basically JRPG fight.
Other than that, I don't have anything from this episode because it was fighting.
It was cool.
I'll say they really were able to step up the animation, especially in the Vegito versus Zamasu fight. Like you could really feel they had the time resources to actually put some I don't see effort into it because every episode involves effort,
Yeah.
but you know how
It
production
had
schedules
extra.
work, and sometimes they can really go all out for an episode or two or whatnot. And this really felt like it. It doesn't compare to some of the stuff you see later in the series, but for this point in the series, especially given how rocky a start Super had, I think it was very much well appreciated.
Yeah, I thought it looked really good too at times. I mean, it's this show is usually decent but not great. But then yeah, there was some good Sakaga moments in this episode.
Mhm.
We got to see Vegito Blue, which was I never seen before, which I thought looked really cool. And although people were really complaining in the thread about this whole 1 hour time limit thing on the Patara earrings.
Oh yeah,
Is
they
that-
retconned it, and then they're gonna retcon it again, and it's just like at some point you kind of stop caring. But there's retconning and re-retcons and some other nonsense. Some
Yeah,
of the complaints are from people who know what happens in the future as well, but I'm of the opinion of like whatever.
Zinthos, it does exactly what you need, exactly when you need it.
Pretty much.
Anyway, you guys want to talk about Kai?
Oh, there's one more point I wanted to bring up about Super, and that point was I forgot it. I like remembered it when I started, and I just immediately forgot it, and it's really oh, I remember it now. The point I wanted to bring up is having watched this episode once in Japanese and watching it again, in between that time, having actually seen Dragon Ball Z Fighters and how they've incorporated Super Vegito and Zamasu into that game, you can really see they did their homework. They really took lots of inspiration from the television series into the game, and I think they made that translation into that translation. It was done expertly, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Fighters is basically a Smash Bros. For Dragon Ball.
Yep. Except more, technical type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean exactly, Crocodile.
Oh my god, we completely forgot to talk about Jump Force.
Well, let's save it. Let's save it if we get.
I mean, it looked not fun.
It looked edgy as hell. Like,
Yeah.
it was like,
Anyway,
I just saw Luffy standing on top of a flagpole with the American flag, and I was like, this is the dumbest, greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Anyway, I was gonna say I agree with you, Crocodile. There's a lot of really smart nods to the Dragon Ball anime series in Fighters, where the Yamcha ending that you can unlock where he dies, and the stuff like that. Like it's where it's exactly like a screenshot from the show. And I think they do that really well.
Turn it around. Like he can do it to Nappa.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty brilliant. The one thing I do want to mention is that, and I think so we don't skip over it, I know there are a lot of people complaining about Trunks' spirit sword, but I'm kind of like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't know. That's my stance on the matter. Well, how do you all feel?
It's cool.
It's the fucking spirit bomb. Only it's a sword. It's whatever.
Yeah, I kind of agree with these guys. It's like, what's a spirit bomb anyway?
Just mold the same energy into a different shape.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I know there's some people who were really bothered by its introduction and felt kind of like a Deus Ex Machina, and I suppose it's true to an extent, but it's like I still just don't care really.
Yeah, I mean I will say they could have sort of blunted those criticisms simply by having like Goku teach it to him off screen. Like, oh, this is how Trunks like, oh, you beat Majin Buu using the spirit bomb? How does that work? Like, oh, let me show you while, these things happen.
I also feel like the spirit bomb would be the weapon that could defeat Zamasu because it is kind of the embodiment of what is good about mortals.
Yeah.
And the gods don't really have this where like mortals have like life energy. Immortals and like Zamasu can't really understand that. And so to give up your life energy is something only a mortal can do. And I think it's a fitting weapon against him.
I will say though that when they say like mortals and gods, the way they use it in Dragon Ball universe isn't really the same way we use it in our universe. So like how like Ningen is I think supposed to roughly translate to human, but kind of doesn't translate to human at the same time. So there's kind of like some language oddities between Japanese and English and how different languages use different terms. So it's not one-to-one in that sense. So not sure. I feel like I would agree with you in terms of like thinking of Zamasu is immortal versus Trunks who is mortal. Like, just mortals are kind of just like like sentient beings in the lower realms, quote unquote. And Zamasu, of course, sees himself as a Kai or a supreme Kai or god, whatever, in the higher realms. But like gods in the Dragon Ball universe aren't inherently immortal and whatnot. So I wouldn't really think of it as mortality versus immortality. I would just think of it as like human versus non-human, or like Kai versus sentient being on a random planet kind of thing. That's how I think of it.
It's kind of like bosses and employees almost.
Anyway, you guys want to talk about Kai?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Dragon Ball Z Kai, the final chapter is episode 165. Peace returns, a time of rest for the warriors, because we can't let this end.
I'm surprised they kept this episode for Kai. I'll just say that.
Well, we long since lost the Kai cutting. I feel like Kai has not been trimmed at all since Boo began. But this episode was lame, and with the exception of a couple of notable humorous moments, it was pretty much completely pointless.
Hey, now Goku protected those pterodactyl eggs. What could be more?
Yeah, because I mean that was fucking riveting.
This is literally the equivalent of this is what they think of the American Dragon Ball fan base.
Yeah.
Right here.
The only thing I liked in this episode was Videl dressing up as a second Great Saiyaman, which I would love that if that was a thing.
It's a lot of fun.
But I'm sure it's just a filler thing.
No, it's in one or two of the movies.
Oh wow! Oh well, that's better than I hoped. But then
for like 5 minutes.
We also get to see Chi-Chi in her casual clothes or whatever. Her out on the town look was kind of cool to see that.
Yes, for dance moves, quote unquote.
Yeah, and her dance moves, basically / fighting moves. But yeah, then the rest of it was just oh man, who wrote this?
It was me, Austin. It was me all along.
Some dude stuck in a cubicle in the Toei Animation offices. Just dude, pump out this episode.
They must have had a quota. It's well, we can't end the seasons a week early, so we've got to come up with something.
I mean, I think it's just that they had maybe, I'm not sure if quota is the right word, but they had the course kind of scheduling, so they had a time slot. So I guess I guess it's kind of a quota. Yeah.
It's just they had to fill a certain number of episodes, and they didn't think it through.
Yeah.
Well, Dragon Ball was it just doesn't stop show, so.
Yeah.
Oh, but this was I feel like this was the end. I don't think that the ending of this show to me felt like anyone was surprised it was about to end. I mean, it felt like this was where it was going.
Yeah.
The last few episodes have been really banking on this. Hey, remember what happened in the original Dragon Ball? Well, we're ending it here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that was the plan.
And I feel like maybe this episode was trying to also dip into that nostalgia because they were doing those flashbacks. Goku's gosh, I remember Grandpa. Remember when Grandpa found me and it's
yeah.
But this probably wasn't in the manga. I couldn't imagine.
I mean, that was sweet, to be honest. I thought that was that was probably the best part of the episode.
I don't know. It just felt so I don't know. Nobody can explain why Goku did what he did. Even Goku can't explain why he decided to just go out and look at freaking eggs.
He just did it.
I was gonna cook them and eat them when they hatched.
It's like that. It reminds me of that one movie we watched on Toonami where he was friends with nature.
What?
Goku's relationship with nature should be he finds all of God's creatures delicious.
That's exactly his relationship. They're beautiful until it's time to eat.
Anyway, guys, want to talk about MHA?
Heck yeah.
Right.
My Hero Academia, Episode 5, What I Can Do for Now. In this episode, that one arc of Naruto from the very beginning.
pretty much.
This, if you don't do this thing, will immediately expel you kind of thing. I feel is getting a little worn out as a trope in shonen manga. So I wish they kind of freshen up a little bit. Because
Yeah,
it feels like strange. Like I know what they're trying to accomplish, but I feel it's strained by suspension of disbelief just a bit. At least at this point.
They're
I mean,
really
they already
trying
passed
to
the
convince
test.
that he's not going to go to the school, and it's like,
But we
okay.
know he is. He made it in.
Yeah. But like I could sit here and point out all of the direct parallels between this and like that test with Kakashi, but they're pretty obvious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, it's kind of like we already kind of did that though. In like, you know, the other exam, it's kind of like, hey, you know, you gotta be able to do more than just, you know, fighting guys. You gotta be, you know, whatever. And like, we're doing that again already.
Eraserhead's cool.
Yeah, he's all right.
I liked his intro with the sleeping bag. That was kind of funny. I mean, I've already seen this before, but it was funny to see again.
I think only me and you have seen it, Crocodile.
I've seen
Well,
it.
I kind of stopped after like I don't know. I think I stopped halfway through the first season and then watched like the bit with where All Might punches the shit out of that. You know, well, I mean, I won't spoil things, but there was a good bit near the end of the season. But I haven't, and I've only been watching like random episodes from future seasons. I don't know. I just haven't bothered to just truck through it. But I read the manga up through I guess the Yakuza arc.
Yeah.
Well, be careful now. Don't spoil things.
That means nothing.
Okay.
I mean, it's Japan. You're Yakuza. Oh, what does that mean? Ooh, what happens? You know, that's not really a spoiler. I don't feel. But I guess I'll pass the mic from now.
Yeah, you don't have to say specifics.
Anyone else got anything on this episode?
I was amused that the Grape Boy somehow was able to do something skillfully. I think that's the only. Well, no, that's not the only time he does something not stupid, but not stupid. But it just kind of was funny or weird.
Yeah, Mineta kind of
character, but that weird moment was kind of, I guess, kind of funny with the bouncing back and forth. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like Mineta is just barely scraping by, and at the end of the episode when they got the test results, like he was second to last.
I didn't. I would have to go back and look at that result.
I did. I went back out of curiosity. I was like, I wonder what the order was, and yeah, Mineta was second to last, just before Deku. So I kind of feel like of all these people, it does surprise me that Mineta not only made it into Class 1A, but that he's still barely getting by.
So the fact that he got in was such a hotly debated topic that the creator had to come out and say, basically, so disabling the robots also counts. He just panicked, threw a whole bunch of sticky balls off his head, and they got stuck on a bunch of robots, and that's how he got in.
Okay. I can believe it.
The issue with that character is like the creator feels like he has to have a pervert quota, so he just has the character, but the character sucks. So it's just like everyone's just like, why is this character here? And he's just like, I gotta fill my quota. And everyone's just like, no, you don't.
This character is required nowadays.
It's a joke character. I don't really mind. I will say that I like the voice that they gave him because he's got like this really thick lisp when he talks like that.
That's just gonna make him way worse.
I don't know. I think it's going to make him better. And I also feel like the other thing I was going to say is that we got to hear some of the other classmates' voices for the first time in this episode, a few of them. They all sound really great, I think.
Don't worry. I'm pretty sure I don't have a line in this season at all.
Oh, I don't think you do. No,
Bird Boy, right?
You might have one line, maybe, but I can't remember it.
Line.
By the way, for people listening, Grex's avatar on Reset Era is what we're talking about.
I don't actually care that much. It's just funny.
Why did you pick that? Do you like that character?
I think the design is cool.
He has got a really cool design. You know what? For a long time too, I didn't notice that he actually has like a normal body. Yeah. Like he has just a completely normal human body. Only his head looks like a crow.
There are other characters like that in the series too, who are like mostly normal except for their like head or something.
Really interesting, yeah. But But yeah. I mean, I have to say, having seen the first season, I really like Class 1A. Like all the characters are just really fun, and like I said to Seda a couple weeks ago, like we'll see more or less of some of them, but man, I just feel like it's such a cool cast.
And Class 1B is over here like, hey, we exist too. No.
I've never seen any of them, so I'm looking. If they delve into that in the future, I'm looking forward to that too.
I feel like Class 1B should be given more screen time than they actually are, and I'm including future knowledge. Like I feel they should be given more screen time than they actually are. And
There's just no way to handle that large of a cast. Like the Class 1A is already maybe too big.
Yeah,
and I suppose it's fair. Like there's some characters in Class A that you could like delete, and maybe 5 people would care total in the world.
Sorry.
Yeah, I kind of in the middle with both of you. I get what you're saying because like more characters the better, but on the other hand, it's like even Class 1A's characters don't all get enough real screen time as it is.
I would say that there's like the top like few people from Class 1B are more interesting than the bottom few people in Class 1A, but just Class 1A gets majority of screen time, so you got a few like stragglers on, whereas the few people in Class 1B who like matter don't get enough screen time, but like you probably don't want to give screen time to all the rest of 1B. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I follow you. Yeah. There definitely are a couple of characters in 1A that are kind of like, well, whatever.
There's an interesting spin-off manga you could make there instead of Vigilantes.
I heard Vigilantes got better. Did it not? I haven't really been following it since it started.
I guess people are saying it. I've seen crazy things like Vigilantes is the better one, and it's like, shut up. Anyway, do you guys want to talk about Fooly Cooly?
Okay.
Yes.
Fooly Cooly Progressive, Episode 2, Freebie Honey. All I can remember from this episode is that she went to the slums and then...
She got well, if she had a penis, she'd have gotten an erection. So I guess her tissue could have been engorged. But she had the standard nosebleed, which of course is synonymous with arousal in these animations. So I think the conclusion is that she has a bit of masochism or sadomasochistic tendencies in her.
Yeah, I heard 2 different readings on that. One is what you just said, where like there's a sadomasochistic aspect to her character, and then there were some other people saying it might be more just like emotional kind of driven, because I think she also got a little bit of like a thing just when someone was sad. And so I don't know. I'm not sure. I kind of like lean towards the former though of what you're saying. It feels like because she was having that dream at the beginning of the episode with the zombies, and she's being eaten, and she's also eating and attacking things. And then in her sleep, you see her kind of grin.
I thought the opening of the episode was pretty strong. Kind of gave me flashbacks, which is probably the point, to the opening of Firestarter, which was kind of like had kind of like grainy, like otherworldly opening to it. Kind of like, are we in the same show? Kind of start to it. So I think they had that kind of. I assume it was trying to make a parallel, and I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not sure if they really connected or followed through with that through the entire episodes, though. Like most Fooly Cooly episodes, they probably would need a few rewatches to make sure I get everything. But at least I'll say I thought the opening was interesting, and then kind of follow through with the Haruko in class was funny. I thought that was pretty amusing. It took me a second to realize that I guess she had them under some mass hypnosis because they weren't actually looking at pictures.
Yeah,
but they're looking at
appeared to be fake, and only our heroine could see it.
I like how she comes in and the entire class just cheers, and it's like a meta joke.
Yeah, I agree.
Just like, the class is us.
But I think also we're supposed to literally take that as like the class just loves this teacher because she's so crazy. Like they don't know who Haruko is.
Mm. Well, I think it's a fun teacher who lets them watch porn. I guess it's fun or something.
Right. And it's like
she's nutty.
Establishment.
We also got conclusive confirmation that yes, Raharu and what's her face are the same. We're split.
Yes.
Oh, what is the other woman's name? That is annoying.
I completely forgot.
I can't remember.
It's like J. It starts with a J, I think. It's not unrealistic to not be able to remember these characters' names. this soon. But yeah, I mean, here's another thing. I'm only going to say this, but I'm going to preface it by saying, "Duh," is that I had a real hard time understanding what was going on in this episode. But like, it's stupid to even say that because of the nature of this show. You're not really supposed to get it right out of the front gate.
I also felt this way. I feel like even in Fully Cooley, when you didn't really understand everything, there was kind of a conclusive theme to every episode.
Yeah,
this show kind of doesn't have that.
Yeah, I feel more like this again. Like I said, I feel like this show is banking more on the story of Raharu or Haruko and this other girl.
I mean,
and not as much about like having a theme.
I think that could be true, but it is. I mean, we're familiar with Fully Cooley. We've been watching the series in reruns, whatnot, since what?
Yeah, a long time.
Over a decade, right? So I think it's a little easy to say, like, oh yeah, I totally understood the theme of this Fully Cooley episode the first time I saw it when I was like 15. And I was like, did you really?
Did you?
Maybe you did, but do you really remember how well you understood the first time you saw it? Now, granted, we're older and more discerning and able to pick up on these things more quickly, but I think also given the nature of the show, I'm not sure even if they accomplished their goals well, crafted the episode in an expert manner, I don't think it's unreasonable for us to be a little confused on the first pass, which is not to give it like a pass and saying, oh, it did everything right. There's no way it could have been improved. But like, I will admit that this is a series I will willing to give a little bit benefit of the doubt in terms of like, do I not understand it or did they fuck up?
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I feel like if it makes no sense upon a rewatch, then they've definitely fucked up.
But that rewatch would have to probably be after you've seen the entire series.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, after you've seen the whole thing.
Yeah. Like, for example, what's with the eye patch guy going around asking everybody if they want to be a pro?
I think it's just like anime old man pervert quota being filled again. I mean, maybe he like saves the day in episode 6 or something, but for right now, I'm going with old man anime pervert quota needs to be filled.
Pretty much.
Didn't he say he was talking about that kid like you have Latin blood or something? That did I mishear that or
no? I think the guy literally got Latin blood.
That was He's
Chad from Bleach.
Yeah. I mean, the guy clearly has darker skin than a normal anime character.
No, right. It's just a weird comment to make. So I was just like, did I mishear that or?
Yeah. I think he's just saying he's got suave, he's got Latin blood, that kind of thing. The the animation unfortunately was as bad as I was expecting. It definitely took a nosedive in this episode. It wasn't terrible, but man, it just is kind of lackluster comparing to the first one.
Yeah, I would say it's not bad, but given the pedigree of the series, it is not. Well, there are a few sequences like the I thought like they did that what's the name of that missile sequence, that famous one? You know those sorts of missile sequences that are common in anime that were started by one famous animator like 30 years ago.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. The Gynax like missiles coming out of like, or you mean like everything. Like when like Macross would do it? Yeah,
that sort of missile barrage, and then the subsequent like action has a specific name. Because like there was one animator who like made it infamous that was like his thing, and then everyone just started copying it for like decades afterwards. And
but like
name. But that part of the episodes, like some of the fight was pretty good, but you can definitely tell like the framing.
When Haruko hit that dude in the head, when Haruko hit that dude in the head and the robot popped out, it was like that looked so cheap compared to what we would have normally seen, even in the previous episode. It just looked really junky and cheap. So it was like, oh gosh. Oh, now I do like though that robot from the first episode is like lingering around doing odd jobs, and then was like playing chess or something, and then got sucked. Like that's funny, but it just wasn't animated very well. I do like the relationship between our two main lead characters though, and how they're kind of having a budding relationship.
You mean Ide and the girl whose name I'm blanking on?
Yeah,
right now?
Hidome or something.
Hidome.
Okay. So, like, I would just want to say, and I should feel like it probably should be made clear, like, obviously I'm not privy to all the specifics of the actual animation production for this. I didn't get a chance to really watch those kind of precursor videos they had a few weeks ago, and I probably would have to look this up afterwards. But I hesitant to say the animation is cheap in the sense that I don't know if like Cartoon Network or Production IG or whoever was funding this actually looks cheap for the money. But usually when animation is kind of lackluster, it's usually more function of time and talent than actually money. So I feel I should say that, like, even though we say like it looks cheap, it's probably less of a budget thing and more of just like how much time.
Yeah, I know. I don't mean literally money. I meant cheap in production quality.
Yeah, I wasn't really necessarily dictating to you. I just felt I should say that.
I've heard that argument as well. Yeah, it is not a fact. Money isn't the only thing that solves the problem. It has to do with talent and time.
On the initial FL Fooly Cooly, you had some of the most well-known up-and-coming animators working on that of the time. So like, I just think like, and I don't want to throw shade on people working on this. Like, again, I don't know the specifics of what happened, but you know, there were a lot of things that went into making the original Fooly Cooly look as good as it did. So it doesn't surprise me that they weren't necessarily able to replicate it, though it's disappointing, especially when you come off some other even TV series that are really like this doesn't wow you like the way a One Punch Man wows you. And for example, if that was a series that wasn't any more expensive to make, it was just who was working on it and how much time you had.
I mean, they just sort of freelanced the best animators, you know, in the industry for that one.
I never expected this one to even come close, like, to be that, but, like, I also expected a bit more.
That's where I'm at. I felt like I'm kind of crossing my fingers that the next episode will step up, but I don't know.
You got your beach episode coming, so who knows what's going to happen there.
I bet the first and last episodes will be the best looking, and everything in the middle will be this.
I mean,
I also do want to say, having rewatched the Ed of this show a second and third time now, is obviously a prequel to the events of the series. Like, there's clearly shots of Haruko getting Adamas's power, splitting apart. We see an older Naota standing on a hill. We see an older Mamimi, and then there's this long shot of all the characters from all the series, including Alternative, all in a row, and even including a character from this show that has yet to be introduced, all at the end. And it's like,
what does it mean?
Because I didn't think I didn't think Fooly Cooly Classic would be as strong connected to Progressive as it seems like it's going to be. I thought they would have been more disconnected. That's the impression I was getting.
I think Alternative is that. I think Progressive is definitely going to turn into, hey, remember that thing from Fooly Cooly? It's here. It's back.
I feel like that too. I feel like this is. I think that Progressive is a true story sequel to the first classic series, and that Alternative is like an offshoot. And like I thought Progressive was going to be like the only link was going to be like Haruko. Yeah, and that appears to be the case so far as we've seen in episode 1 of Alternative. But no, it seems like they're really going lore deep into Progressive, whereas like you might see other characters come back.
Fooly Cooly Progressive is Fooly Cooly. Everyone is here.
Gotta set up that Fooly Cooly multiverse, the cinematic universe. Gotta set that up for. Gotta get it all in order.
Anyway, do you guys want to talk about JoJo?
Yes, I do a lot.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, Battle in Egypt, Episode 39, The Guardian of Hell, Pet Shop, Part 2. Just so many fucking commas and colons, god damn it. Just, jeez.
Bird is
You made that joke last week.
I know.
It's still true.
It's still true. That bird is a Terminator.
Yep.
It's like, let's just dig down. Guess what's here? The fucking bird.
Well, at least it's deceased.
I just say it was funny, like how every other minute of it was just Iggy with a reaction face, like, how is this possible? What is even happening? Why me?
Well, I mean, you know, Iggy's a dog. Of course, he's like, it's kind of just like, why?
Like Pet Shop is like from having seen parts 3 and 4, Pet Shop is like just straight up one of the most powerful stand users in both of those parts so far. It's kind of fucked up, honestly. That the fucking bird is just like one of the deadliest stand mass users in like 2 parts so far.
He's pure murder instinct.
Yeah.
Hey, that one guy came back. Remember him?
Yeah, remember him? What was his name? Laffy Taffy?
The best part was when Kakyoin made Iggy walk out in front of the group all cobbled and crippled. And I'm just like, why don't you
Poor
just like
Iggy.
pick him up and carry him, you asshole? Like,
He just, like I said, I was just like, hey, Iggy, this is going to be great. You go behind them. I'll come from behind them when you get their attention. It's going to be great. And Iggy's just like, I have 3 legs. And Kakyoin's just like, I don't have any eyes. Oh, wait, yes, I do. Way to be a dick, Kakyoin.
They finally arrived
At the
thankfully.
super evil house.
yeah, the place is just oozing murder all over the place.
Like they didn't get, like they never got close to it apparently, because the second they get within 2 city blocks, it's like, man, the air smells like murder.
Hint, hint. I like that there's like a floating butler.
Oh yeah, the weird thing is that, and I don't really think this is a spoiler, they don't explain how he like floats. It's just he floats in his introduction and then never does it again, and we're just like, how the fuck did he float? And it's just never explained.
Because you have to get the perfect introduction.
Man God in the thread was like, why don't they just drop a bomb on that house?
See, that makes sense, but you know,
I legitimately think Dio would.
you probably
He can
survive.
stop it.
Okay, if they dropped the bomb on the house in broad daylight, they might have a chance.
Like, wouldn't the government of Cairo and Egypt like throw a fit if someone just bombed?
Oh,
the-
dude, what are they going to do against the freaking Speedwagon Foundation, man?
Seriously.
Speedwagon Foundation just like, hey, check this out, cash.
The Joestar
like,
family has a
we are,
strong stand.
There was a gas explosion due to a gas main leak today.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
This and this. Pay no attention to the C-47 flying above.
No, this is not a giant bag of cash. It's not a burlap sack with the money sign on it.
Were those ever a real thing? Those cartoony just sacks with money signs on them?
No, I'm pretty sure those were never an actual thing.
They just became that somebody just used them in an anime in a cartoon in like the 1910s, and then that just stuck.
Or like an early movie or something, just to be like, hey, this is money, like, you know, because it's cheap, and you know, you could probably use, like in the silent movies, you have to, like, you know, you can't talk and shit, so it was probably like, how do we show that this briefcase is full of money? Well, we can just use a burlap sack with a cash sign on it, and there you go.
This feels like something
Which is
that
what
needs
I
to be researched
assume.
At some point.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like something that would be interesting to look into.
How do we get to this from Murder Bird?
We're bombing buildings. We're asking why
Yeah.
didn't you just bomb the mansion to go into their almost certain demise?
It was mostly a rhetorical question. I was just like, man, we got into talking about the origin of sack of money.
Mm.
Anyway,
Money. Wait. Before you go, though, money bags are a thing. They date back to the 1100s.
No shit.
Yeah, they used to carry gold in them.
Oh,
Well, there's a difference between bags that are filled with money. Obviously, those have always existed. We're talking about bags full of money that have a money symbol on them. That's the thing.
yeah.
Like in a bank. Yeah.
So you have to hold your
Yeah.
money. So, like, you know.
I don't know.
how do they move money before the invention of the wheel? That's not a serious question. Don't answer that.
No.
All right.
Anyway, you guys want to talk about Hunter x Hunter?
Okay.
Hunter x Hunter episode 98, Infiltration and Selection. I legitimately can't remember what happened in this episode.
There was
they were-
talking, North Korea. Hey, this is North Korea. Do you guys realize this was North Korea? Psst, this is
Yeah,
North
I mean,
Korea.
pretty much. I
And
mean,
Killua gone split and then gone, you know, beat up.
Gon got
They're going to go
Yeah.
out and get to the palace. It's like, shit, the king is gone. He was called off to a summit with an orange potato.
yeah, but first Gon has to beat what is it, like a hedgehog and an owl?
It was
It's
bat
a snake,
A
an
bat
owl,
and an owl.
a
now.
bat.
Hedgehogs don't fly.
You're right. It's the bat and the owl he has to beat.
And then there's that like chameleon dude walking around too.
Oh yeah, he's got to deal with him too. Gon is not smart enough to beat an invisible fighter.
Killer will wreck him though.
Speaking of not being smart enough, like Killa was explaining like how many people it would take to kill the nation and all this stuff, and then of course Gon just has like smoke coming out his ears again.
Yeah, the thing is though, like Killa was explaining the plight of the North Korean people, and Gon was just like, meh, whatevs. Too many numbers.
Yeah, he's too dumb to understand that.
Like struggle, Doug.
I mean, he can barely do basic math. You expect him to comprehend that?
Are we talking about Gon or Trump?
Yes.
I mean, it's just obvious North Korea that it's kind of hard not to, even though.
Oh well, dude, you realize the place that they're going is literally called Beijing, North Korea. Well, it's not North Korea, but that's what we're calling it.
Yeah, I mean they're very much going to the North Korean capital.
But they literally, the place is really in the show called Beijing.
Yeah.
Oh really? I wasn't. I guess I must have missed that.
Yeah. They said it twice.
That's too close to. That's more like Beijing, though. That's
right. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's not the same, like because that's like Beijing, China, but like the place is called Beijing, but the country is more like North Korea.
But I mean, the capital of North Korea is what Pyongyang. I don't
know.
There we go. It's close enough.
Also, we said North Korea and Pyeongchang like a bajillion times, so we're now all on a watch list.
Yep. No, yeah, but this was basically just a setup episode for where they're going and why it's important.
Yeah, it was more of a slower. I mean, I enjoyed some of the back and forth, some of the combat. There was some little political intrigue with whatever the other higher hunters were doing and stuff. So it was kind of a okayish episode, but even okayish episode of Hunter x Hunter is pretty good in my book, at least in this arc so far.
That lion dude just came right back, just like, I was wrong.
Oh yeah, like he's like groveling. Him and his two like subordinates are groveling.
Yep.
I don't even remember what happened. Did we even see them after they went off?
Yeah, he ate that news reporter woman. Remember when she interviewed him?
He just bit her head off
on live television.
Are we supposed to assume then that he got harassed by hunters a lot after that?
I mean, I'm guessing, somebody probably came knocking.
He was on live. He just ate someone on live television. I hope someone came knocking.
Anyway, we're talking about Black Clover, and there's nothing you guys can do to stop me.
God damn it.
Let's get it over with.
Do we have to?
Black Clover episode 25, Adversity, is the correct description of watching this show.
That guy doesn't have an arm anymore.
More dudes.
Like, also, people can't, like, I'm just frustrated that people are hitting each other and, like, not doing any damage to each other. It's just
that one guy lost an arm.
Off screen.
This is true.
He said, "It's you," and then it's like, who the fuck is that? Don't know. He's dead now.
My arm.
Me arm.
Black Clover just pisses the shit out of me. Like, it's
right.
A bad show that I hate that exists. Because
let's talk briefly. Let's talk briefly about Charmy.
Charmy?
Charmy is the little girl character who likes to eat things.
The hungry girl.
Say foodie girl or something. That's all I remember. But like,
she like straight up transformed into regular proportions.
Yeah. Okay. So I looked into this. I was genuinely confused and am technically still confused about this. But here's my take on this, and I'm sure we'll have a Black Clover expert in the thread correct me on this, but that's fine.
No, she's not a boy, so he won't care.
Right. Most likely. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't think she changes her appearance. I think this is like I think this is a visual gag thing.
I think that's how it's working.
It's like she has a look, like a real look that we see very rarely, which is what she looked like when she did her giant sheep attack.
Yeah.
But her like changing size and looking chibi sometimes is all just a visual gag, and that's not really happening.
It's a visual gag that's always there.
Right.
No, it's like a this is her normal personality, and this is when she gets serious type
Right.
thing.
Yes, but it's confusing because they animated it
It's a
almost in
huge
the way that, like,
change.
she was literally changing, and it's it's weird.
I mean, it's
So-
also a gigantic shift from one to the other. It's almost like two different characters.
And I think it's made worse by the fact that, like, her default form is the goofy chibi form. That's the one we see most often. And then Yuno comes up to her and it's like, "Who are you, little girl?" And it's like, her normal form, yeah, she's still a young girl, but she doesn't look as young. So it's like, which version does Yuno see? It just asks more questions than it answers.
I assume everyone sees everyone in universe sees the normal version of her, and it's just we the audience who see the chibi version of her.
I think it's better if everyone actually sees them completely different. Like when she transforms, everyone's just like, "Wait, what?"
I would like that, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I don't think she's Bisky.
So the other part of the episode is that we got to see her power, which is, I thought her summoning sheep chefs was just like a joke spell, but I guess her power is that she just summons sheeps. And
all joke spells. Like there's no magic system. It's just people randomly casting spells.
Yeah. Long ass named spells. Yeah.
Why can't she have had pot magic? She throws pots at people.
Right, but it's like sheep. So she has like a giant sheep and blah blah blah, and she gets a crush on Yuno, and that was all I remember.
One thing I'll say is that why are there like multiple characters in the show with the same gag? Like she's the foodie girl, right? But then there's like that other Magic Knight dude who we introduced a few episodes, who's also like, let's go eat. I mean, you were talking about this in the previous episode. Like, how about, I'm going to eat dessert? Like you were talking about this person in the previous episode. Like, why is there like multiple like foodie people in the show? Like, if you're going to do a gag or have people have their one thing, you can't have multiple people with the same one thing. It just like defeats the whole point. Like, just write actual characters. Like, what are you doing?
It's that the idea that this author is capable of that is funny.
It's an excellent question. No one here with a reasonable thought can answer that question.
No.
Like, why not have Charmy have an actual character and have that one dude be the foodie? I don't know.
Nope.
Probably because you don't know how to do anything.
Or she could be just a foodie, but like an actual personality too. Like that shouldn't be hard. Like just write.
You think it would be
characters?
Black Clover pisses me off.
I will say, I think they introduced that mad scientist chick, which this episode, which I've heard people say like she's not terrible or something, that she's kind of amusing or something. So maybe we'll have one not terrible character, but overall this is a bad show filled with bad characters and it looks bad. Like the flame animation on that one dude, that was not animation, that was colors, and I don't even know what that was. That was just.
Everyone just is constantly in contact with flames, and it doesn't do anything to hurt them. Lukewarm flames of doom.
Yeah, how do flames hold someone?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's how would anything hold anyone, but if they're flames, they should still hurt you.
Yeah, but he was just sitting there like he was tied up, but instead there were just flames around him.
That's not how fire works.
The most poorly animated flames the world's ever seen.
Yep.
Anyway, do you guys want to talk about Shippuden?
No.
Naruto Shippuden, episode 205, Declaration of War. In this episode, blah, 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 blah.
I declare war.
So yeah, it was just Toby explaining his master plan, because fuck it, the villain has to do that by law of shonen manga.
He wants to project his eye onto the moon to put everyone into a deep... Oh my god.
It's so stupid.
Fuck.
On a lighter note, I think this past week's episode of Boruto in Japan was really good, but I'm not too familiar with what's going on with that series. But
hey, by the way, speaking of spin-offs that are kind of only tangentially related to the thing they originate from, apparently the Sword Art Online Gun anime is not that bad.
I've heard the same thing. Remember me saying that?
I've been hearing that for a while.
Look, I looked at that one character on the poster, and I was like, "There's no way this is going to be good." But apparently, it's fine.
Was it
Should have listened to me.
Was it the little girl in the pink suit or the
woman who just like, look at how tall I am. Also, I'm really into touching myself.
Okay.
God.
But apparently it's fine.
Don't judge a book by its cover, and it turns out I might have been right.
Well, when it's SAO, I will always judge the book by its cover.
To be fair, with anime in which the visual appeal is a big part of it, I think judging them by their cover shouldn't be absolute, but it's more fair than it is in a lot of other circumstances.
Like, I looked at that character and I was like, I immediately know what that character is going to be like, but I guess that character's not like that at all, so I don't know why that character's like that on the cover. I don't know. Apparently it's fine, though. I'm not going to watch it, though.
Until it shows up in Toonami.
Right, I'll watch it if it comes to Toonami, but not before.
Oh, boy. No, we're going to have to deal with a 50-episode Alicization arc.
Oh, God.
Ugh.
But look, B-dubs, think to yourself. We now know there are so many things worse. It could be
things.
like
my feelings on SAO have gone up since some of the shows we've seen recently.
Like what?
Black Clover?
Like some of the worst shows we've ranked.
Okay, look, Black Clover is a lot less.
When we rank Black Clover, SAO is guaranteed to be like one show away from not being in the bottom 10.
God.
Yeah, there's been way worse.
I mean, Black Clover is not as like rapey as SAO, which is a huge plus, but it's just so bad. It's not even
true.
Black Clover is also not anything.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's a nothing. It's just bad. It's not so bad. It's good to hate watch. It's just bad.
I will say that I think Black Clover has a little bit of hate watch in it. Shows like our worst show.
Mm-hmm.
Help me.
Tokyo Ghoul.
Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul to me was just unwatchable. Like, it was so boring.
Yeah,
that's a pretty shitty show too.
This is so boring.
Anyway, Shippuden.
So they introduced this thing. They introduced this thing called the 10 Tails. It feels like a retcon, but it probably wasn't.
It was.
Was it?
Maybe.
Or was it just not revealed to now? It never felt like a retcon to me.
I mean, there's no difference between in Naruto. There's no real difference between just revealed now and just invented now.
Okay,
fair enough. But was the moon always only a few hundred years old? That feels like it was a retcon.
Probably is.
Wait, what?
I mean, it's not like anybody ever said, "Hey, by the way, the moon is 1 billion years old in this universe." For them to
you'd think it would be like, oh hey,
I mean, the moon being 100 years old is would be a huge deal, I feel, in that universe. Unless you made it up at the spot right then, in which case then I guess it would be hard to make that a big deal in universe.
Also, I've been technically corrected on some of the, like, the Sage of the Six Paths. It was definitely way, 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 way before everything else. So that's not like, oh, he just happened. But no, he was like at least 1,000 years before it.
No. The actual, like, the timeline gets really wonky because, like, we're told, like, when it starts off that, oh, this is, way in the past, thousands of years. But then you, like, actually look at the timeline in, like, generations, and it's like, no, that was, like, 200 years tops.
I feel like there's a bunch of time between the Sage of the Six Paths and, like, Hashirama versus Madara that it's just like, oh, there was a huge block of time here. It's the fact that Hashirama versus Madara seems to be so, like, distant that it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I think part of the problem is that we're never really shown that, oh, there's this huge gap of time here. It's like, because, like, I remember when I was reading through that particular flashback, I'm like, okay, so there's, like, a generation, maybe two between, like, those two guys and the Sage, It kind of felt like there was hardly any time between them at all.
So wait, did you say in this episode they said that the moon is only 400 years old?
Well, technically, yeah.
The moon was created by the Sage of the Six Paths sealing the 10 Tails.
Which was about... I mean, the time gets wonky, but 400 to 600 years ago.
Like, doesn't the timeline get shorter like as you move forward in the manga?
Yeah. Like,
also,
yeah, like
what the hell was life like on this planet before the moon?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what the hell? How did I miss this?
That's why I was like, that makes no sense. You can't have a moon.
Well, the Sage of the Six Paths existed during a time when like half of all humans were killed daily by tidal waves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just seems like one of those things where it's like, if the Sage of Six Paths was like, 100 million years ago, or like 10,000 years ago, or like some obscenely large number of years ago, this could potentially work.
I mean, it would have to be before human civilization.
What are we talking about here? How does something as big as a moon just appear?
Well, remember that technique Pain used against Naruto when he went 8 tails? Apparently, it was just a bigger version of that.
Well, I mean, issues that if you introduce a moon to a planet, it radically changes the entire life, like biosphere, climate, and whatever that planet.
It's.
I think we're supposed to take this tongue in cheek, but we're taking it very seriously because
it's very literal. He literally created the moon.
Extremely literal.
Like literal to the most hilarious extent.
What I mean though is that like, oh, Naruto's kind of like a fairy tale. He made the moon.
No, he made the moon.
No, but I mean, like, I know he did it, but I'm saying like we don't analyze the magic of fairy tales, and I think that's what we're supposed to do here. I'm literally stretching for the benefit of the show here.
No,
like, how is it there can be somebody who can make a moon?
No, the issue isn't making a moon. The issue is that before and after the addition of a moon, a planet is just so fundamentally changed that you can't just make a moon in the middle of human civilization and not just have it radically change everything.
I don't know that the author considered the science in this.
No, he probably didn't. But
for him,
he also
moon is just a circle in the sky.
Yeah. Like, I will say that I think it could make more sense if the timeline was massively elongated. But it's like so tiny. But it's so tiny that it's like, you know,
can't
whatever.
Make a moon, dude. Like, do you
I know.
How big the moon is?
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, oh, okay, you could be like, oh, there were some crazy years where there with the flooding and whatnot, and then, you know, the moon came and it was all cool. Like if it was all like legends and stuff.
I mean, the issue for me again is not the creation of the moon, but just that the fact that just making something that's like trillions and trillions of tons of mass, you know, whatever. It's just I can hand wave that. I can't hand wave the fact that the implications that we have for the planet are not taken into account. Like, for example, in Gurren Lagann, like, it's eventually revealed that the moon is like a spaceship.
Yeah. But they have to go get another moon when they take the spaceship away.
There was a moon and they replaced it. That's actually how it worked. But
right, and it's also like the moon, the presence of that moon basically resets human civilization on Earth into Gurren Lagann. So, like, everything changes once that moon is set up. So you can introduce a moon, but you have to the ripple effects have to take place, or else
I think Soul Eater did it better.
I mean,
you guys know what I'm talking about?
Right? Yeah, I remember the laughing moon
with the moon. Yeah, the way the moon is integrated into the end of Soul Eater is kind of like what we're discussing here.
Only better, which is weird. No, but it's just one of those really weird things where it's like, there's a way to do this better, but you can't do it better in the timeline that we have.
Here's my question to the creator of Naruto. Why? Why make a character why not just have the moon there?
Because he wanted to show how strong everyone is.
Sealed on the moon.
Right.
The moon already exists. Sealed him on the moon.
Oh, you mean like that Men in Black jail? From like Men in Black 3 where they like made the jail for the guy. Yeah, that makes I remember reading this originally. I'm like, oh, so they like,
isn't that how Soul Eater does it too? They sealed him on the moon.
Yeah. Like that's originally what I thought it was. And then I realized as I was going through the series, like, no, wait, this motherfucker actually made the moon.
Because that's way cooler.
Yeah.
He makes the moon. Give me a fucking break.
I know.
Did they have space travel?
Nope.
I mean,
Do they
I
have
would not be
ninja
surprised.
space
This
travel?
universe is so technologically schizophrenic. I would not be surprised if like one day in Boruto was just like, "Hey, we need to take the spaceport somewhere."
Oh, Boruto, I can believe it because
No,
Boruto's
no.
just thrown everything out the window.
Hang on. Naruto himself does actually go to the moon once. In the in one of the in the canon movie before Boruto, they literally go to the moon. Literally, I swear to God, I'm not lying here. The moon men come down from the moon, kidnap Hinata, and then Naruto and his friends have to go save her.
How could there be moon men if the Sage of the Sixth Path created the moon?
His brother lived on the moon.
Do they have ninja spacesuits?
No, but they live in a fancy ninja castle. And I swear to God, they want to use their eye magic to enslave the world.
Of course it's eye magic. It would never be anything else.
Do they use eye magic to power their ninja rockets?
Yes.
Okay, I believe it.
This podcast is over.
And by ninja rockets, I mean like dimensional doorway thingy.
Oh.
From ninja tanks to ninja rockets.
I will use my fire jutsu to be the booster rocket.
Okay, actual things that happened in this episode. I like how basically before Madara shows up, everyone's just like, we can't have a united ninja army. That's ridiculous. And then Madara shows up like, hey guys, it's me. And everyone's like, we should have a united ninja army.
It's just so bullshit. And I mean, I've said this in the thread, but I think this sort of like ending sequence, because pretty much everything from this point on is the ending sequence. Like the next 6 years is the final arc.
So roughly the same length as the ending of Return of the King.
No, this is longer.
No,
this is longer. This is like 12 Return of the King. Because every time I swear to God, this literally has like, we've beaten the final boss. There's another final boss. And there's the next one. And then there's like 12 different final bosses throughout this,
like a giant
bullshit.
Space flea from nowhere shows up like twice.
Yeah. It's absolutely fucking insane. But I still maintain that this could have been done so much better and probably faster if it had been split up into like 3 or 4 different arcs. You probably could have done it in like half the time.
Anyway, anything else about this episode?
Wait, when is Donzo coming back? Because he's got an amazing episode coming up.
It's within, I believe, I can count the number of episodes on one hand.
It's like the next 2 or 3, right?
Yeah. Naruto's gonna be dumb pretty soon.
It's gonna be so amazing.
Dumb with a capital D-U-M-B. Italicized.
There's like 2 or 3 episodes coming up that are just beautiful.
Just chef kiss.
Yes. Like transcendentally dumb.
Anyway, anything else about Naruto? Nope.
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 No.
Just dead air. Anyway, that'll be it for this episode of
You almost did it.
This episode of the Toonami Escape Podcast.
There you
Thank
go.
you, B-dubs.
All right.
Thank you, C. Kohler. Go study the moon.
No problem.
Thank you, Crocodile.
Just a shout out to this week's Space Dandy episode. Of course, rerun, but still an excellent episode. Hopefully, more people will be able to stay up to watch it.
I am never staying up past. I don't have to go. I don't have to stay up for Ghost in the Shell anymore.
Wait, what Space Dandy episode is coming?
No, the one that just passed this weekend.
Right. Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I think next week is the one bad episode of this season.
Is it the Cloudian one?
Yeah, it's not even that bad. No, but it sets up the Dandy Scarlet Date one.
And then the Dandy Dies episode is still after that.
Oh yeah,
but not the one right after that. I think it's 2 episodes after that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll be all.
It's a good show. Watch Space Dandy again.
Yes.
that's all for this episode. Good night, everyone.
Peace out.
Later.